Hello, heathens, witches, Vikings, and pagans. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Jonai Ingolf, aka Rad Viking Dad. As previously stated on my earlier video, sound quality may not have been the best, but I was using my phone at the time. I am using a camera specifically for recording, and I hope to get better sound equipment as we move forward. So for any video quality issues or sound issues, I do apologize ahead of time. But for now, let's just jump into things. One of the things that I am asked quite frequently when I tell people that I am a Viking, I am a modern day heathen and Viking, they ask me, what does that mean? How does one become a Viking? What is it to be a Viking in today's modern society? We don't ransack villages or rob churches anymore. We don't lay siege to the high seas. We don't fight epic battles to claim kingdoms anymore. So what is it to be a Viking? In today's modern society, it's important to realize that just as times change, just as people change, and just as we evolve, so do the gods, and so do their requirements. Their requirements may stay the same, but what those requirements mean evolve and change with time. Today's video is going to be specifically on the 9 noble virtues. It is adherence to these 9 noble virtues that I feel are important for every Viking to adhere to live their lives by. Code of conduct, if you will. And we are going to go over those 9 noble virtues in this video and break down each one and what I feel it means. Now keep in mind, these videos are not to be taken as direct quotes or words specifically from the gods themselves. I would not begin to presume that I speak on behalf of the gods. I can only speak to my experiences, my beliefs, and my thoughts, and how my practice and my time working with the gods has influenced me. It is up to each and every one of you to find your own path, to find what the gods are speaking to you, and find your truth in all of it. But hopefully, my videos will help you on your path of learning. So let's begin, shall we? The 9 noble virtues: courage, truth, honor, fidelity, discipline, hospitality, industriousness, self-reliance, and perseverance. Now, what do those mean? How do they equate to modern society in terms of being a Viking? Courage has many forms. You could be a serviceman or woman on the field of battle, quite literally, showing courage every day to fight for our country. You could be a policeman or policewoman, emergency responder, EMT, police, fire, all show great courage on a daily basis. But that is not the only type of courage the gods honor. There's also the courage to stand up to a friend, even though it may cost that friendship. The courage to stand up to a family member at the risk of straining that relationship. The courage to stand up to a loved one or a spouse or significant other, despite the fear of losing them. Or, probably the hardest of all, to have the courage to stand up against your own mind. Mental illness is rampant nowadays. It was most likely rampant way back when. We just were not aware of it. We had nothing to classify it as. We had no professionals who knew such things about the human mind. But we do now. Having the courage to speak up and say, I need help, that takes great courage. Or it could be the courage to be true to yourself and admit the truth about yourself, about who and what you are, whether it's coming out of the closet as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, despite the fear of losing the relationships with those you love, or having the courage to come out of the broom closet as a pagan, when today's modern society dictates you should either be a follower of the God of Abraham or an atheist. Either are acceptable in today's society, but to say that you follow the old gods, people look at you funny. Some may even call you devil worshiper, when the fact is we don't believe in the devil. Telling a pagan that we're going to hell is like telling a Christian they're going to Mordor. But I digress. Having the courage to stand up when it is so much easier to just sit down and blend in with the crowd, that is how we honor the gods with that noble virtue. Truth. This is not to be confused with the notion of faith. For in our minds, our gods are real. We work with the gods on a daily basis, and that is a form of our truth. To a Christian, our gods may be figments of our own imaginations, and their God is the true God, and that is their truth. Let's not mistake verifiable facts and figures with faith. Faith is not something that can be proved. That's why it's called faith. And it's not our job to prove the existence of the old gods. If somebody doesn't believe in our gods, that's fine. Our gods don't believe in them either. Just move on. Adherence to truth is more so not being a sheep, not taking someone at their word, investigating claims laid before you, and not just accepting it as actual factual evidence. When you see a news report, regardless of the source, whether it's Fox News, CNN, or BBC World News, don't take it at face value. Investigate. Do your due diligence. Look into it. Find the truth in the statements. You may be surprised to find just how much you are being told is not actually what it seems to be. That is what the gods mean by truth, and why it is a noble virtue. Because when we know the truth about the world around us, about the society we live in, and about everything going on a daily basis, that is when we can honor the gods by being the best versions of ourselves. Because in that, we are well informed, and we are not just led astray by those in power. We hold true to our own honor. This is a big one for me. The best way I can describe honor as it pertains to the gods is simply honoring your word. If you say you will do something, do it. If you're not going to do something, don't say you'll do it. Honor your agreements. Honor your promises. Honor your oaths, and honor your word. That is paramount to living the Viking way of life. Fidelity. Another way of saying that is faithfulness, staying true. Whether it's fidelity to yourself, being true and honest with yourself, fidelity to a loved one, be it a significant other or spouse, or fidelity to a friend who calls on you in a time of need. All of these are aspects of the noble virtue of fidelity, and just as important to the Viking way of life. For united we stand, divided we fall. And trust me, there are enough outside forces looking to tear down pagans in general, much less heathens. We don't need to come against each other. We don't need to tear ourselves up from the inside out. We have enough outside forces doing that. We must stay true to ourselves, we must stay true to each other, and we must stay true to our gods. Discipline, arguably one of the hardest. For at the end of the day, when it comes down to discipline, we have no one but ourselves to either congratulate or blame. It's fairly self-explanatory, but discipline involves a multitude of things. But some examples of which are, if you want to be in better shape, discipline yourself. Change your eating habits. Change your activity levels. Do what you must to improve your health. Discipline yourself. I know that cake is delicious, but do you really need a fourth slice? Discipline yourself. I know it's so much fun to get hammered, but do you have to do it every night? Discipline. I know those women are absolutely beautiful. I know those men are a fine piece of meat. But how does your significant other feel whenever you look at them, when your eyes turn from your loved one to a random piece of ass walking by? Discipline. Discipline not only refers to those aspects of your life, but also to your personal practice and relationship with your gods. Are you just going to work with and call upon the gods when you need something? Or is it going to be a daily journey that you discipline yourself into taking? Hospitality. This one is definitely one that has changed over the centuries. Back when hospitality was laid out as a noble virtue by the gods in the Viking Age, it literally referred to letting people stay in your homes, whether you knew them or not. At the time, that was acceptable. Nowadays, it is foolish. And it is certainly not what the gods refer to. Hospitality has taken on a different light. If you see someone struggling, offer them the hospitality of a shared meal. Or, the situation allows or calls for it, fundage. Don't offer hospitality to the point of harming yourself or your family. But if you see those in needs, and you have the means to fill those needs, offer them hospitality. Give them a ride. Help them get a job. You don't have to put them up in your own home for the night, but if you can afford a hotel room, get them a hotel room. It's all based on your capabilities. Just because you see someone in need, but you yourself are in need and are unable to provide for that specific need that you see, doesn't mean the gods will disown you or say that you don't adhere to the noble virtue of hospitality. Hospitality is one of the situational noble virtues. When the opportunity presents itself and you have the means to do so, that is when adherence comes in. Someone has a need but you cannot fill it, gods aren't going to blame you for that. They know what you're capable of. They know what you have access to, but so do you. Industriousness. One of the biggest aspects of industriousness is making sure that you don't stagnate, that you are always moving forward in your job, in your practice, in your walk with the gods. When you have a need, what do you do to fill that need? Do you go out and work and work and work to provide money to fill that need? Do you go out and build whatever it is that you happen to need at that time, if it's something physical? Do you go out and network? Do you meet people? Do you socialize to gain contacts to further your business along? Do you educate yourself by going to college, taking classes, doing what you must to always move a step ahead? Industriousness refers to never allowing oneself to stagnate. There is no such thing as a lazy Viking. Self-reliance. This is a big one. Now, that is not to say that if you're down and out and you need help, you shouldn't accept help because you must be self-reliant. That is not what self-reliance is speaking about. Self-reliance is about making sure that when you are on your feet, that you are mobile, that you are moving forward, that you aren't relying on others or leaning on others or riding on someone else's coattails. Yes, if you need help, accept the help. Take that hand, pull yourself up. But the moment you are on your feet and stable, run. Don't walk, run. And that brings us to perseverance. It is a noble virtue almost tied directly into courage, because without courage, we would not have the strength to persevere. Times are tough. Money's tight. You don't know where the next paycheck's coming. Persevere. Stand strong. Honor the gods by never giving up. Your mental illness is telling you that you are worthless, that it would be best to just end it all. Find the courage to stand up to that little voice in your head and say, no, there are those who would miss me if I was gone. I will persevere for their sake and for my gods. Honor the gods by showing your strength of will to persevere through any issue. Have the perseverance to stay sober if that is one of your many, many battles. Have the strength to persevere through the bullying, through the belittling, through the degrading of other people's comments, because you are finally able to accept who and what you are. Have the strength and the courage to persevere. And that is the 9 noble virtues. One of the most important things that makes a man, woman, or non-binary a Viking. Thank you for joining me. Look for the next episode. I believe next episode we will speak on the Havamal and how the Havamal has changed, or at least its interpretations and meanings has changed to today's society and today's standards. Until next time, Skål!